I want to start, Jane, with a bit of Q&A. I don't know how much you saw of this program on Monday night. I'll play a little bit for my viewers at home, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
People have resorted to violence as a way to finally break through and get heard and achieve what we need. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
How many rapists must we kill? Not the state, because I disagree with the death penalty, and I want to get rid of incarceration, and I'm with you on the police. So I want women themselves.
I think if anyone's shocked by what Mona's suggesting, you just have to look back to history and a certain faction of the suffragettes in the early 20th century. They used violence.
I think violence, I think violence is okay. I'm really articulate. No amount of that is going to save you. So,
It's
I
a
think
tricky
let's burn stuff.
I tell you, Jane, I flicked around the channel and I thought that was a comedy festival. I thought half of that was made up, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't, Peter. I was in a hotel room and I had limited options and I was watching it and I kept turning off because it was so horrible and going back to see if it had improved. And we talked about it on air on Tuesday night and we couldn't get all the callers to air. It was an absolute disgrace, and I mean that. And what we've heard about there is the violence, and the ABC's looking into that because they've had complaints. But for me, it was far more sinister because there was a question about positive masculinity and all bar one of the panellists had anything positive to say about positive masculinity. I think you and I know plenty of men who are the embodiment of positive masculinity, and that to me is the most insidious part. The idea that men are toxic, that was the whole thrust of this. It's a very dangerous message to be giving our young men, and the ABC should hang its head in shame.
Jane's right there, James, that there is going to be a review by David Anderson. He's the CEO or the Managing Director of the ABC. But of course, taxpayers pay for this organisation at the tune of $1 billion. It rates nothing like the commercials, but we still all have to pay $1 billion. And there doesn't seem to be much rigour in what they can put to air, and there doesn't ever seem to be any consequence when they breach community standards. But this stuff was pretty outrageous. Imagine if a panel of men had sat there on Monday night advocating violence against women.
100%, Peter, and I can just first of all open up by saying I hope that I was one of those non-toxic men that Jane was just talking about that we all have in mind. But thank you, Jane. Thank you. Appreciate that. But seriously, though, this whole idea of this Q&A panel, this is not the first time. This is not their first rodeo that we've had a problem with them. You know, some hideous behavior with Zaki Mallah, whether it's all sorts of other things that have happened. There's a whole long laundry list of this. The idea that the ABC will investigate itself and then they'll say, oh, well, you know, there's no proof of systemic bias. You can almost write the report that they're going to put out on this now. I don't know who was asleep at the switch there, but anybody who looked at that list of two-bit Jacobins and thought that this thing was going to end in any other way than it did on Monday night, well, of course, you know, you'd have to be laughing. But think about it, though. You mentioned the commercial networks. You know, commercial broadcasters, Sky, all the free-to-air networks are always under far more scrutiny. You know, somebody says something just a little bit contentious on, say, a breakfast morning show or somewhere else, and there's protests, there's all sorts of things from the left, boycott advertisers, boycott this, boycott that. But because the ABC, you know, it has this stranglehold.
It's got guaranteed
funding, yep. And it gets a piece of all of our paychecks. They don't have any accountability, and so they can laugh at us.
It would be very interesting if you went to the ballot box every 3 years and you tick the box at the bottom, do you want to be funding your whole 7 cents or whatever it might be for the ABC, and you'd be interested to know how many people would actually tick that box. I don't think it would be as many people as their current funding might allow.